As you read my background, I started out in theoretical mathematics, spaceflight mechanics, when I was 15, 16 years old, and was more or less a nerd, I guess, well, as you would describe it back then. And so I did some work for Martin Marietta and worked on theoretical mathematics and some spaceflight mechanics, some propulsion systems, analyzing some systems. Then I went to Colorado School of Mines when I was 17, and I was studying physics and theoretical mathematics there. And at that point, I joined up, got into the ROTC program, into the Army program there, because it was a land grant school. And back then, all land grant schools, you had to join the Army or Air Force or Navy or some program, because that was part of the federal government. And so I got involved in the government for a little while, and then I left that and started working on. I was going through a divorce at the time. I was kind of fed up with the system and what was happening with everything, and so I kind of left the whole program and started working at a place called McNichol Sports Arena, where it was run by computer systems for the scoring systems and the scoreboards at that time. And I was 25, 26 at that age. I had just got back from the Olympics in 1976, where I ran their scoring systems, and we were starting to use lasers to time runners and that sort of stuff. And back then, everything was lit by light bulbs, the old light bulb. And if you wanted a scoreboard or a display, you would have equivalent to about 40,000 light bulbs, which was kind of a nightmare to run up and change them after every event, because they did burn out. And they had problems at the Olympics, and they were not going to be ready in '76 up in Montreal. So they hired me to fix it, and I had it fixed for them rather quickly. So I went to work for another government organization or company called CONRAC, CONRAC, out in New Jersey. Worked on some of their fighter planes. And then I decided I was going to take over some of the sports arenas myself, because back then, instead of the teams owning the sports arenas, all the cities did, and they were, of course, on bonds, and they were always in debt, and they didn't want to pass a huge bond. So they would do things like leave the seats out and the floors out, and build the arena and go, oops, we need more money. So then they would trade out advertising in the arenas for the scoring systems or whatever to finish the arena. And so I put myself in the middle of that, because back then instant replay was actually done by video projectors, and each one of the video projectors were about $2 million. Extremely expensive. And I came up with a new idea, a new way of doing it, which was actually the forerunner of all flat screen TVs. And so I sold that company to the Denver Nuggets, got out of the sports and stadiums arenas, and started a company that started doing flat screens for big instant replays. And we built the first 1 million pixel TV set that was only about, it was about 8 inches thick, and it only weighed about 400 pounds. But it was 9 foot by 12 foot, which was really revolutionary, because at that time, nobody was even close to 1 million pixels. The most that you would see on an instant replay was about 40 or 50,000 pixels, which
Incredible.
is, yeah, which was, and this was very small. And we even built one screen that was 4 million pixels, which today they're touting 4K. This was back in 1983 to 85. And I predicted that with this technology and some of the other technologies I had on my patent, that you would see a TV set hanging on your wall that would be about a half-inch thick and weigh less than 30 pounds. Of course, I was called crazy back then, because the average 32-inch TV set weighed about 900 pounds.
Wow.
And nobody could envision that you would ever have a flat screen TV and you could hang it on your wall. I actually went to McDonald's and pitched McDonald's and told them all their menu board should be done this way. And they called me crazy that they would never change their menu boards. I went to SeaWorld. If you've ever gone to SeaWorld and you see the big screens behind them now, those were all my ideas. I pitched them on that. And I can tell you the exact date because when I flew to SeaWorld to meet with them in Florida was the day my daughter was born.
Oh my. Okay.
I got all the way to Florida and then had to turn around on the next flight and fly all the way back to Denver because my wife called me up when I landed in Florida and said, I'm in labor, get home. So I turned around and got home, and my vice president of marketing did the pitch to them. And so we actually did sell them a board, but all the displays you see now, everywhere that has a flat screen TV, whether it's on the highway, whether it's in your house, hanging on the wall, whether it's anywhere, that was my idea. That was
That's
I was
awesome.
the guy
Yeah.
running around pitching that.
Okay.
Everybody thought I was crazy back then, but now you talk to younger people and you say, yeah, our TV sets used to be 3 feet wide and weigh 900 pounds, and it cost a CRT, and they go, what's a CRT? So it's been fun doing that technology. After and of course I ran around the United States trying to get Zenith to do it and RCA and General Electric, and none of them wanted to do anything with TV sets back then.
So you're kind of a revolutionary as an inventor, and obviously have already set a track record by that time. How did you get into this sort of new direction, water? How long have you been in the water business? I don't know what you want to call it, and how, going down that road.
Well, that's an interesting story too, and it was very interesting. I was like everyone else out there, even today, and said, water is water. Darn it, there's nothing new about water. But my wife liked bottled water, and she liked some of the brands and some of the tastes. And we would go to a restaurant and would pay $6, $7 for bottled water. And I go, what are you doing? They set a jar in front of you. It's tap water. Drink that tap water. And she goes, no, I like the taste and it's better for you. And I said, no, water is water, So being a good husband, I said, okay, if you want water, I'll try to get you the better water. I'll distill the water for you. So we went out and bought a distiller that was about $5,000. It was a commercial grade one, and they used it in hospitals. And I found out that the ones that they had used in the hospitals, most of the doctors were using it. It was meant for the patients, but the doctors were drinking the water and the patients were not really getting the water that they should have. They were giving them tap water.
Oh, man.
But today they warn patients not to drink hospital water because 85% of patients that get sick in a hospital is from the water.
Wow.
Which is amazing because their immune systems are down and they have problems. So they actually say, don't drink hospital water.
I hear you.
No.
Okay. So go ahead.
So this thing kept breaking down, and I said, I'm an inventor. I can invent something that will make water. So I started looking around, and I wanted something that would not contact water itself. I wanted something that would put energy into water and heat it up and boil it and remove the contaminants from it and then distill the water without ever touching the water. Because the problem with most distillers, they have the prongs in there, just like your hot water heater does at home. I don't know if you have much problem with hot water heaters out there, but in the West, it's pretty notorious. They break down every 3 or 4 years, and you have to replace the heating elements. And that's exactly what a distiller is. It's exactly the same thing. They just get the water hotter.
Okay.
So, and of course, when those heating elements break down, they've got tungsten in them, and they've got iron and other things. So as they're breaking down continuously, you're drinking that. And you're actually drinking heavy metals out of your hot water heater, which is not a good thing. So I invented this device which uses a microwave source to put energy into the water. And it's in a glass encase, so nothing ever touches the water, and the energy is just injected into it. Well, the way I built this particular device, little did I know that it would actually change the water. It rearranged the water molecules. And it's only because of the way that I built the device, because of the geometry of it, that it works. If you try doing this in a microwave oven in your house, it doesn't work.
Okay.
But it's just because I built a resonant chamber, and the way that I interject the waves in, it just happened to change the geometric arrangement of the atoms in water. The problem with the device, though, was that it removed every impurity that you could ever think of in water. And it trapped it in this vessel that I had, so that the vessel that I had, if you ran it from a well water or even city water, would go bad in about 3 to 4 days. It would remove that much contaminant out of it and gum it up, and it wouldn't work anymore.
Oh, man. Okay.
So, yeah, you'd say that again. In fact, where we live now, we found uranium and plutonium in the water that it removed. So it was a nice way to make a little vessel radioactive by removing what was in the well water out here. And of course, we live near a nuclear facility not too far from us. We're Idaho National Labs. And, they say there's no problems with it, but and there was an article not too long ago in the New York Times or the Huffington Post that 1/3 of all residents from the St. Louis River, from the Missouri River west to California, 1/3 of all residents drink uranium contaminated water. 1/3 of all people are getting their good doses of uranium in their water.